Collide, to hit with force when moving, crash, or run into. We often live at the intersection of striving in our own efforts versus thriving in God's plans. It is at this intersection that there is often a collision of our will and the will of God. Our will, our way, our wants, our world. When our desires collide with God's heart, there is a forceful awakening in our lives that will cause us to realize that His ways are far bigger than anything we have ever dreamed. We have a decision to make: to follow God or forsake His plan and purpose for our lives. God's will, God's way. Are you ready to collide?
Amen. Everybody say collide. We're talking about in this teaching series that intersection that we live at in our lives between faith, trust in God, and fear, or our own human nature. And it's often a collision, a force of emotion, let down, happiness that we follow the Lord, if you will. It kind of goes like this: God's will, God's way versus my will, my way. How many of you have a will today? All of you do, yes. How many of you have a way? How many of you like your way? Yes, hallelujah. And sometimes our will and our way will line up with God's will and God's way, but a lot of times it will not, and that's really the crossroads of where we live. Today I want to talk about gossip. Everybody say gossip. Loose lips, freely talking and freely listening, something that we really don't address in the church a whole lot, but there are a lot of people that have gone to church in the past or at some point in their lives, and they've been hurt or violated, all at the expense of someone talking about them or sharing their business with somebody else. And so there's two trains here. I know there's some of you in the room who go, well, I don't ever talk to people about other people's lives. And there's others of you that say, well, I listen, but I don't really say anything about people's business to other people. Both have issues, and we're going to talk about both today in the context of gossip. It kind of goes like this. We have the ability to take an earful and turn it into a mouthful. Everybody say mouthful. And I mean, it's like Red Hots. I said Red Hots the other day, candy, to somebody, and they didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So I'm really dating myself. But it's kind of like your mouth is on fire. It's like curry inside of your mouth, or Asian spices, or Spanish spices, and it's just got to come out of the inside of your mouth. We have this incredible ability to take an earful of what we hear and turn it into a mouthful. It kind of goes like this. A few months ago, I stepped outside at my house. The breeze was blowing. It was much cooler than it is now. And I noticed, I got a sniff of something. It was a very unpleasant sniff. We have a septic at our home. How many of you have septics at your home? Yes. It was the unmistakable smell of septic. It wasn't overbearing. It wasn't too terrible that you couldn't be outside, but you noticed, and then it went away. I was like, okay, good, it's okay. A few days later, I went out. Worse. Stronger. Longer. We have a problem. Then I was cutting my grass on a very dry day. You know where this is going. And my motor or my lawnmower ran over the top of what must be the septic lines and field, and it was full of poop. I'm sorry, can we just be honest? And the mower is just flying it everywhere, and I'm like, it's on me. Gross! Shower time now! I got done Laura wanted to give me a hug. I said, no, honey, you do not want to give me a hug. I smell like a cesspool of septic slush. And I am not a septic man, so I called somebody. I needed to get this fixed or we're going to have a problem. And so they dug up spots in my yard and dug up other spots in my yard until finally it's fixed. Now, do you know how you can tell if your septic is fixed? Wait a few weeks, because stink will always come back up if only a Band-Aid is put on it. And so this is kind of how gossip goes. It starts with, And if you're not careful, you will find yourself in a cesspool of septic slush. And it will be so bad that nobody is going to want to be around you. You smell so bad, and the stuff coming out of your mouth is so bad that if it's not fixed, this problem is going to create other problems and cause people to not want to be around you. That's how gossip goes. Everybody say gossip. How many of you have ever had somebody gossip about you before? Let me see your hand. All right. How many of you don't know if you've ever had somebody gossip about you? Let me see your hand. They have. All right. I can go ahead and they have. How many of you have ever gossiped about somebody? Let me see your hand. Oh, this is honest church here. I love it. How many of you in the last 5 minutes? Just kidding. Gossip, I kind of break it down. It's when we are talking about a situation or somebody with somebody who is not a part of the problem or the solution to what it is that we're talking about. That could be gossip. Proverbs 6 talks about gossip. Now, you'll have to work with me today. I have a very bad summer cold. I'll try not to share it with you today, but I can't promise you that I won't spit on the front row. I usually baptize our front row here at Church Alive. Proverbs 6, verse 16, there are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. And if I were you, and I'm not you, y'all want some water? I would pay attention to these. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue. I might as well leave the lid off that. Bear with me here. Hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a man who stirs up dissension among brothers. I want to tell you something about gossip. Gossip can be a lie or the truth. Church, are y'all with me? Well, I was just telling the truth. I'm just trying to bring some truth to the situation. It also brings dissension among people. It will stir up discord and dissension among people. Proverbs 18:8. The words of gossip are like choice morsels. Everybody say morsels. You know what a morsel is? It's like when you go out to somebody's house and they have a little appetizer. That's really what it is. And it's just enough to make you really want more, but you don't want to be a pig and keep eating the whole thing there. But you're like, this is so good. Why can't this just be the meal? It's like the little Reese's Poppers or whatever. It's just enough to make you go back for more and more and more and more until you're so full of the morsel. And it gets down. Here's what the Bible says. It gets down to the inmost parts of a person. Now, there is something wickedly attractive to all of us in this room about information. Everybody say information. Information is knowledge. Knowledge is powerful. And if you have knowledge, you have the power. And therefore, somebody needs to get to you to get the knowledge so they can have the power. There are actually people that are so good at this, and believers that are so good at this, that they don't even realize they're doing it. You can actually participate in gossip and be so good at it that you don't even realize you're doing it, or you're immune to the fact you're doing it. Why do people gossip? I jotted these things down. Because it makes me feel important. Everybody say important. I feel I have the power. Knowledge is power. I've got the power. It elevates. If you participate in gossip, what you're doing is you're elevating yourself and you're putting down someone else. It makes you feel better about yourself. And then some people just gossip for full-fledged entertainment. They like information. They like business. My grandmother was not very educated in books, but she was a wise woman. She used to tell me, if you don't have something good to say about someone, don't say it at all. Anybody ever heard that before? Great words to live by. You're going to find out poo-poo on everybody. Everybody has a cesspool of information about their lives. You do, I do. And sometimes we just get so attracted to the stink instead of the good that if we're not careful, we'll become that stink. So let's talk about how do we overcome gossip. And let me go ahead and tell you that I'm not preaching this because we have a culture of gossip here at Church Alive. I am very grateful that we do not have a culture of gossip. I'll give you another story. I know a lot of things about a lot of people, not because I'm out trying to find out information about people. It's by the nature of what I do as a pastor. I will find out things whether I want to or not. Recently, someone sent me an email wanting, nobody in this room, so don't look around, go, I know who it is. I know who he's talking about. You don't. Wanting me to discuss information about somebody else. I didn't even respond to the email. I'm like, it'll just go away. I got a second email, a little more detailed. I'm like, I didn't respond. Third time it came. I'm like, okay, I have to respond. Now, I'm giving you a window into how I respond to these things. I sent back an email, very short, very sweet, but very direct. Dear so-and-so, I do not discuss matters and business of other people with other people. God bless you. Have a great day. I'm just telling you. I'm going to tell you, even if I weren't a clapper, I'd clap for that. Because I would want a pastor who I didn't know information. I'm not talking to you about somebody's life. I'm not talking to you about what somebody might be walking through or what they might be going through or how they may have struggled or some decisions that they made in their life. So here's the deal. Let's talk about how we overcome gossip. The first one is there's 3 questions that you need to ask yourself. Is my conversation helpful or hurtful? Everybody say helpful. Everybody say hurtful. Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. 2 quick things on this scripture. Unwholesome talk. Everybody say unwholesome. You've participated in unwholesome talk before. I've participated in unwholesome talk before. The image of this is like a decayed tree. A tree that starts out beautiful, green, lush, in a season produces very good fruit. But because of decay, the tree is less than 100%. And you notice that instead of good fruit producing on that tree, the fruit is starting to be rotten. It's starting to be gross, and it's not right, and it's not something you would give to your neighbor, and it's not even something that you would eat yourself. This is how it is, and I don't understand why we're so attracted to rotten fruit, if you will. We're so attracted to the bad stuff, and we're attracted to the misinformation or information in general about other people's business. But here's what Matthew 7 says, Jesus. Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them. So I'm just going to tell you today, right now, and I didn't write this, Jesus did. You will be known by your fruit. And people will make judgment calls about you. They will make opinions about you. They may not even begin a friendship with you because of the fruit that is evident in your life. Gossip is one of these types of things that it shouldn't be bearing in our life. And if it is, we need to find the source of where it's coming from. We need to deal with it so that we can bear good fruit. Everybody say good fruit. Then he says, speak to build others up. Everybody say build up. And I know this is hard sometimes, but when we talk, how many of you know there's a time to speak and a time not to speak? Now, we know all about speaking. We got to learn when not to talk. When is it right for us to just simply keep our mouths shut and not be a busybody and not talk about something that we really don't need to be talking about? But if we do talk, Paul makes it very clear. Build others up. Speak to edify. Everybody say edify. Build up and encourage. Everybody say encourage. Here's what Proverbs 16:27 says. A scoundrel plots evil, and his speech is like a scorching fire. A perverse man stirs up dissension, and a gossip separates close friends. Powerful thought there. I want to give you this thought here, and I want to unpack it a little bit. Everything that you say and I say should be the truth. Everybody say truth. But everything that is true about somebody, you may not need to speak it out. Well, Pastor, I know the truth. I need to set the record straight. Maybe you do need to set the record straight, but you need to know when to set the record straight and when not to set the record straight. Well, I'm all about speaking the truth. So am I. I'm about speaking the truth. How many of you are about speaking the truth? Let me see your hand. But I'm telling you, there are going to be true things that you know about the life of a person or people that you really do not need to speak out unless there is a context where you can speak out about it. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Are y'all with me today, church? All right, here's the next one. Here's the next question. Am I making private matters public? Now, I don't know if you've realized this or not, but we are living in a very unprivate culture. How do I know? There are 633,000 social media apps available to you at your fingertips. I'm being facetious. I don't know if there's 633,000. There is a literal app. How do you have time for this? Where you can take a picture, send it to the world, and it'll be there for 30 seconds or a minute. I don't know how long it is. I'm like, just pick up the phone. Have a conversation. Talk to somebody. Why do I need pictures? Because we are living in a world that is so driven for information and by information. We are in the technology age, but I don't even know where we are on the scope of the technology age. It's going to even get more profound. And everybody wants to know your business, and for some reason, we want everybody to know our business. Like I was reading the other day, and somebody was airing out their problem with another person right smack dab there on the social media. Now, how many of you know it's good to air out your problem with a person? It is. 3 of you know. Hallelujah. The rest of you, I don't know what you're doing. You sneaking and gossiping, ain't you? But there are times that things need to be handled in private, not publicly. How many of you have ever started a Facebook post, went to lunch, came back, and that post had been hijacked, and what people were talking about on that post was so far removed from what your original post was. And then you got to spend the energy to try to correct everybody and say, this is not what my post is about. But you are pulled into it because it was on your page. Are y'all with me, church? There are times where things need to be dealt with in private. The challenge for all of us in the room is dealing with them in private and not making them a public matter. When you have information about other people, there's a really good rule of thumb: keep it to yourself. Now, I wished I had a button in my brain that I could push. It's called the forget button. Boop, gone. Never remember, never to. It's just not there. Maybe you have it and can tell me how to find it. I can't. When you have information, your brain is so powerful, and God created it to be that way. You cannot just hit a button and cause that information to go away. Church, are y'all with me? And so sometimes you just need to get out of a situation where information is being pushed, like a pill or a drug being pushed on in a conversation. You need to get out of that conversation. Are y'all with me today? Y'all want some water? We probably have some in the back somewhere. Third thing is this. Now, Pastor, you have talked about people that promote gossip by talking. I don't do that. Hang on. My grandmother also had a saying. You've heard this before. Birds of a feather flocketh together. I added some King James English in there. We have a bird feeder outside of our home, at 2 of them. It's the craziest thing. I have it positioned in such a way that when I sit down to eat, I can see out the window and I can see the birds. One of them is specific to hummingbirds. And I'm like, you ain't going to tell the blue jay you ain't coming over there to eat off that hummingbird. The blue jay does not eat off the I'm telling you, hummingbirds, they come and they come in scores. Right beside it, literally, like this far, is another bird feeder that has really seedy bird feed on it. I was sitting there this week and I watched, and these 2 yellow birds, they are of the same breed of birds, same species. One of them was bright yellow, that was probably the male. The other one was a little dull yellow, that was the female. And they were just going to town on that bird feeder. And then all of a sudden, a blue jay flies over and perches right in between the hummingbird and the real bird feeder. Listen, now how many of you know anything about blue jays? They are bossy, and they will fight, and they will move other birds away to get what they want. They are a very bossy bird. Well, the blue jay was flapping his wings and strutting, and those yellow birds, they just kept right on eating. I watched this. I said, this blue jay is going to run these birds off. He pulled his feathers up again. He bowed up, and they kept right on eating. He did not touch that bird feeder while those 2 birds were on that bird feeder. When they left, here he came. I'm like, okay, old boy, you met your match. I don't know what those yellow birds were, maybe wrens. They were very small, but they didn't even miss a beat. And it kind of reminded me that sometimes you will participate in things because of the people that you run with in your life. And just as it's true that birds of a feather flock together in bird villages, it's true in humans as well. If you say, oh, everybody I've got in my life gossips. Get some other people in your life. Now, for those of you that think gossip is only talking, This next one. Am I permitting others to gossip? Proverbs 17:4. A wicked man listens to evil lips. A liar pays attention to a malicious tongue. Well, I was there, but I never said a word. I didn't say anything. Maybe you should have said something. I need to go to the bathroom. I got an appointment. I got to go. If you are in an atmosphere where gossip is occurring and you are there and you don't even speak to it, or you just let it go, you are just as guilty as those that are spewing the information. Church, are y'all with me? If you listen to gossip, I wrote this down, you permit it. Everybody say permit. You are participating and you are facilitating that gossip. You are just as party to it as anybody. So there's I got three roads of stopping gossip. Everybody say roads. You can take one of these roads and they'll probably fit your personality. The first one is the loving road. Everybody say loving. How many of you like it when people deal with things lovingly? Yes, everybody does. I like it when people deal with me lovingly. The lovingly road says, we probably shouldn't be doing this. And what did you just say again? But no, I'm kidding. But, we need to stop doing this. This is not good. And, I really want to be your friend and da-da-da-da, but I just can't. That's a very good way to stop it and just draw the line. You make it very clear, but you do it in a very loving way. There's a second way that you do it called direct. Everybody say direct. And I want you to be, I preached on lying a few weeks ago, so I'm going to ask you something. How many of you are loving? Let me see your hand. Oh, we have such a loving church. Hallelujah. How many of you are direct? Let me see your hand. Here's where the direct person says, wait a minute. I did not come here to have this conversation, and if it's going to continue, I must leave. You talk about sucking the life right out of the room, and maybe they want you to go. Let's keep talking. The direct person says, nope, we're not doing this. This is not happening. Then there's a third way. It's dealing with it with attitude. How many of you have attitude? And don't you lie. Scooter, I know you do. Yes, sir. The attitude kicks in. You might be a head mover. No, you didn't. We are not having this. I'm done. Get out. I'm leaving. Da-da-da-da-da. We're done. The point of all that is you've got to stop being a part of the conversation of information about somebody else's mess, because you got enough mess of your own than to be carrying around and spewing the mess of everybody else. Are y'all with me, church? Here's what Jesus says about it. But before I get there, let me say, you can talk about people all day long as it's good or as long as they are there. Boom. Talk about it all day. I wrote down two times that might be permitted for you to talk about somebody. Oh, this is the juicy part. Pastor gave me license to gossip. Here we go. Are y'all ready for this? The first one is if they are there, or if it is something that you have actually spoken to them directly face to face. In other words, you would say it to their face. You ever heard somebody, if they were here, I would say it to their face. Well, do you really truly mean that? Or number two, now this is really gray right here. I'm telling you that this one's going to be gray. Everybody say gray. Somebody shares something with you about somebody with the purpose of helping them. Everybody say help. Now, this is not how this goes. Hold with me. There's a lot of gossip that goes on in the church under the guise of spiritual meetings, prayer meetings. Oh, we need to pray for Sally Sue. I drove by and her car was there at 10 p.m. I had to run back. Her car was there at 3 a.m. Had to run back. Her car was there the next morning. Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. See, our prayer meetings, if we're not careful, they can turn into gossip sessions where we really end up not even praying for somebody. All we've done is gotten information, and we're going to have to pass it along for somebody else to pray about it. It sort of goes like this. There was a lady, her village, she lived in a remote village. And she was the town gossiper. And everybody knew it. And so she came and she confessed to the guru of the village. She said, I have gossiped for my entire life. I realize it's wrong, and I need to get some help in my life. He took her on a journey. They climbed a mountain. They got to the top of this mountain. And at the top of the mountain, he pulled out of his pocket, he had a long garment on, a bunch of feathers, and he released them into the wind. And he said, go try to catch some of those feathers. She caught this one and she caught that one, but she couldn't catch all the feathers as they were flying into the wind. The guru turned to the lady and he said, this is what happens when you gossip. You might be able to catch a few of your words, but you will never know where your words have gone into the wind, and you can never make restitution with everyone that might have heard something wrong or information that was spoken about the life of another person. Are y'all with me, church? And so it kind of goes that way. You can go directly, I'm so sorry I gossiped about you, but 345 people already know. And you realize by the third person, it is not the same information as it was when it was originally spoken. Church, do you know this? And so by the time, good Lord, somebody have you moving somewhere and building a house and doing this and doing that and doing that. Listen to what Jesus says. If I can get the band to come out. Here's the last thing I want to tell you. Speak life, not death. Everybody say life. So your tongue is the strongest muscle in your body. Very strong. So much so that we can take an earful and turn it into a mouthful very easily. When we speak, we should speak life and not death. Here's what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 12, verse 36. But I tell you that men will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every careless word they have spoken. How many of you have ever spoken careless words? Oh, how many of you are thankful for the grace of Jesus? Oh, hallelujah. Because when you speak words and they are in the wind, you cannot take them back. The wind's not... back. No, they're out there. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Whoa. How you speak, what you speak, information that you give, information that you keep, close-knit. We need to speak life and not death.